Hey everyone, thanks for joining. This is the American Prepping Academy, and this episode was recorded on March 8th of 2020. So most of the information in this presentation is still 100% accurate. Some of the things have developed slightly differently than what my predictions were, but it's pretty close. So with that, let's go ahead and get in the lesson. Hey everybody, I'm JJ Johnson and welcome to the American Prepping Academy. What we have today is we're going to talk about COVID-19, what to do now, and what to expect in the next 180 days. Okay, so starting out with what to do now. And if you've been listening to Reality Survival, or if you've been a member of the American Prepping Academy Patreon page, you've heard this for a while. You need to have at least 30 days of food and water in your home. The reason is you want to be able to self-quarantine if you need to. Next thing is purchase a pulse oximeter. That is this little item right up there. That is going to enable you to monitor your oxygen saturation levels in your blood at home. The reason this is important is because that is a great way for you to be able to tell if you're actually starting to suffer from acute respiratory distress syndrome or pneumonia, which is kind of where COVID-19 leads in many cases. In some cases, I should say, only about 20% or so. Okay. But that if you have that, then you can use that to monitor your situation before you have to go to the hospital, because you don't want to go to the hospital early, because that's just going to potentially expose you and your family members and stuff like that to more potential for getting sick. Okay, so the next thing here is you want to have over-the-counter medications to treat flu-like symptoms, fever reducers, cough syrup, acetaminophen, Advil, aches and pains, that kind of stuff. Next thing we need to do, and this is really important to help stop the spread of the virus, stop shaking hands. Instead do a head bow, like, hey, kind of the Japanese thing, or an elbow bump, or maybe even just tap feet, or something along those lines. That's going to help with stopping the spread. Next thing is increase your social distance. With this, what we're talking about here is, and we'll talk a little bit about more of these down in this list, was limiting your social exposure, how much you actually go out. But if you do have to go out, limit your distance from people as well. So you want to try to stay at least 6 feet away from people when you're in public places. All right, the next one, stop attending church. If you can, just watch it online. Email your tithe in or send it in online or something along those lines. I don't think that, the Creator is going to hold it against you for staying home for a few weeks. Okay. Don't go out to eat. And if you do, use the drive-thru. Order your food from grocery stores online and have it delivered or pick it up. Try not to go into the grocery stores if you don't have to. And again, like we said earlier, you need to have that good stockpile of at least 30 days already in your house. Take your lunch to work instead of going out to eat. Utilize FaceTime or Zoom or other video teleconferencing softwares for meetings instead of having 5, 6, 8, 10 people come together in a group. Just use that online software for that meeting. And if possible, set up telework or work from home, or try to do alternative work schedules if that is a feasible option for your profession. Okay, and if you guys follow Reality Survival, that blog, realitysurvival.com, I think I wrote an article in mid-January that talked about all these things, and they are still very important. Okay, so what to expect in the next 180 days. All right, the impacts listed below will happen sporadically and intermittently over the next 120 to 180 days. This is a short-term disruption. Notice that's in all caps. This is not a long-term SHTF scenario, but it will cause some disruptions over the next few months. That is pretty much undeniable at this point, in my opinion. And if I'm wrong on all these things, then I'm wrong. But many of them we're already starting to see. Okay, first thing you're going to see, short-term food shortages in grocery stores where clusters and outbreaks appear. We've already started to see this in Washington, California. Next thing is large public events will be and already have been canceled. South by Southwest in Texas, a marathon up in Seattle. I mean, we're seeing a number of cancellations of large events already. School and church and extracurricular sports cancellations. You should be ready for this. There probably will be widespread cancellations of schools and church meetings and different things like that. All right, hospitals are going to be utilizing video teleconferencing software to triage patients. Skype and those kinds of things. That's going to be becoming more frequent. Most hospitals are going to be overwhelmed at the height of the outbreak, and because of that, you need to make sure that if you do have to go to a hospital or if you have to take one of your family or loved ones, make sure you call before you go. That way they can make sure, A, that you need to come, and B, that where you need to go if you do have to come down there. All right. Next thing is international travel interruptions. That's definitely going to continue to increase. You're going to see a lot of vacations being canceled this summer. Next thing is a continued economic downturn. The markets are going to rise and fall very dramatically, and it's all going to end up in a recession for sure. That's almost unquestionable at this point. How bad it gets, who knows? But it's going downhill for a short-term period anyway. All right, the next thing is some large and urban areas may be medically quarantined on a short-term basis. This is not nationwide martial law or anything like that, but we might see some big urban areas that are getting medically quarantined if it gets bad enough in those areas. And in about 120 to 180 days, we should start to see a return to normalcy. Those are the things that I believe that you can expect to happen. Probably, like I said, over the next 4 to 6 months. Okay, so if you guys are not aware, we have a Patreon community. We call it the American Prepping Academy. And the reason I call it that is because we are taking a more formal approach to education. And it's education about prepping, disaster preparedness, and it goes into all aspects of prepping, all the way from wilderness survival, urban survival, food storage, water gathering, tactics, you name it. It's going to cover the full gamut, and it's going to be content that is similar in nature to this presentation, where you have a slideshow with information that you'll be able to print out, put it into your emergency binder, keep all the information if you want. Things that need to be sourced will be sourced, and from credible sources. And yeah, it's just going to be basically a formal approach to prepping. I think the prepping community has gotten to the point where we need to move from informally teaching one another to it becoming a more structured type format that speaks with more authority and that kind of thing. So that's where that's moving, and for just $1 a month you can join that, and that breaks down to less. If I just did one presentation a week, that would be less than a quarter per presentation. But actually, right now we're uploading quite a few presentations a week. So go on over there and check that out on Patreon if you'd like. I would certainly appreciate your support. Thanks a lot, guys.